to take the discussion further and to understand what the impact on individual stocks and the overall industry would be. Divya Kumar Gulati, who is the chairman at CLFMA India, and Nitin Awasthi, who is a research analyst at InCred Capital, join us now. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you so much for joining in. Well, Mr. Gulati, before I start with you, I wanted to understand stock-specific impacts. So let me go to Nitin. Which are the stocks which tend to benefit from here? Also, after the 50% US tariffs, do you think a lot of it will move towards European Union as a market overall?
I'll answer the second part first, and that is no. We remain the top exporters to the US. Recent data suggests that we have only gotten stronger and we are only taking more market share in the US. So our exports in the US have not gone anywhere for it to move to EU. EU, on the other hand, has been a very big problem spot for India. For various reasons, there are a lot of trade barriers which have come, which is not only in form of tariff, which are not only commercially punitive, if I could use that word, but also in other manners, just to block these goods from entering Europe, which has made it very hectic. And many of the exporters from India have actually backed out of this market. Now that market is opening up. That is the big positive here. We are not going to move away from the US. Our share in the US remains where it is, and that's actually gotten stronger every month of this calendar year.
And which stocks tend to benefit from this move?
Immediately, there'll be the processing companies, because processing companies will be the one selling their processed shrimp to the European market. But actually, if you look at it one level down, the whole segment is going to benefit, right? If you are selling more shrimp as a country, that means you have to produce more shrimp as a country. That means everything from the hatchery to the feed, to the farm, to the farmer, to the cold storage, everything has to expand.
Nitin, so which would be the processing company? And the risk reward, which one would your preferred pick be? Just to complete this point about stocks.
I would not go to the risk reward chain as of now. I'll just stick to the priorities that I mentioned, which is processing companies, immediate benefit, ancillary companies. Ancillary companies will be the secondary benefit. Processing companies, as of today, the large processing companies in India, you have Apex Frozen, you have Avanti's subsidiary, which is Avanti Frozen Foods, and you have a company called Coastal Corporation also doing quite well. The three companies that we have looked at the past also, and that we tend to cover also on a normal basis. So these companies, we have studied them, of course, we know them, of course, and this is the way the processing business is for them. Avanti Feeds, apart from this, is the largest feed manufacturer in India.
Mr. Gulati, or to you, sir, thank you for sparing time and joining us. Does this move now open up a newer avenue for India? Of course, India is an exporter to the European Union, but does that, of course, now open up newer markets as well for shrimp exports, especially considering the uncertainties that surround the US markets, even though the exports over there have remained largely stable, if not better?
Yes, thank you for having me. Of course, having EU approve more than 100 units is going to actually benefit, especially since we've been facing the tariffs, the US tariffs. But there's also a positive that I think President Trump has announced that the negotiations will continue. So we hope that if things stand as it is when it was in April, and the 90 days moratorium was given for the exports to continue, if the negotiations are in line, so we have a growth in the market, in fact, with the EU coming. And also at the same time, India is looking at developing its domestic market. Once that happens, this shrimp sector would grow phenomenally. And this would eventually benefit the farmers, which is our main concern, the farmers of the country. So yes, EU market will definitely will be cherry on the cake for the shrimp sector.
Got it. So, Mr. Gulati, if you can give us some numbers, what has been the exports to the US so far? Has it been impacted because of that 50% tariff that kicked in from 27th of August? And how big of a market opportunity are we looking at in terms of EU markets? I know there's no specific number, but a ballpark figure if you can give us.
See, the total shrimp exports market is around more than $5 billion, which is being exported from India. And more than 40%, more than $2 billion is only to the US. The second country which is being importing a lot of shrimps from India is China and Vietnam. So China uses it for its self-consumption, and Vietnam is actually value-adding on the shrimps imported from India and re-exporting it. EU, however, being a very quality-sensitive and the food safety is extremely important for them. That is why these 100 units have been given permission, because we've been able to comply. As of now, there is no figure in terms of the shrimp export. It's very minimal, but especially with these new units being approved, we hope that the figures could reach approximately $1 billion, if not less, in the EU market alone.
And do you expect this $1 billion to happen how soon?
Well, this will take a period of time, because the units have just been approved. There are earlier units which have been approved. Once it's a long term in terms of the culture happens. It takes 90 days, and then we harvest, and then till the first lot goes, the products are tested, the quality assurance, the quality sensitivity. So I think it will take at least a year's time, if not more, to actually get to those figures. And that is if we fast track everything.
Nitin, so taking that point from Mr. Gulati forward into company-specific trends. Now, since he mentioned that if things are fast-tracked, this would take at least 12 months for it to fructify. How does that show up on the numbers of these companies? Do you see an earnings improvement in FY27, if not for this year? And if so, what does that do to the prospects of these companies? And let's stick to the ones that you mentioned, be the Avantis, the Apex Frozens and the likes.
So here, let me take Mr. Gulati's point forward. He mentioned that Vietnam is a very big market for us. But why are they importing so much from us? They're actually importing all these for pushing it to Europe. Almost all of our exports to Vietnam is pushed forward to Europe. Yes, primarily the reason was value add. But over a period of time, there has been absolute value addition has gone off the table. We do and produce high value products in India itself. We send it to Vietnam. Vietnam puts its stickers on it, and it goes to EU because our products cannot go to EU. And that is a sad part of it. So basically, all that export, if directly done, is a very, very big margin gain, right? And that is what we are looking at, like you rightly pointed out, in 27.
Got that. Is it possible to just break down what is India's total manufacturing capacity? How much of that is, being exported? He spoke about $5 billion of overall exports. How much is that? I mean, are we looking at a complete shift in terms of domestic consumption versus exports? And can we get into the value-added services which can provide a margin boost? What's the big picture here now for shrimp manufacturers in India? Nitin, if you would like to go first.
Okay, so 750,000 metric tons, approximately the calendar year exports that we are expecting this year. And this has been a rising trend. It had dipped for about 3 years and again started to rise. And this year, again, we are looking at that figure, 750,000 metric ton. 40% of this is directly to the US. Second largest market for us is China. Then is Japan. Then everybody else, including European Union, comes in. European Union has been importing more shrimp this year. If you look at half year data, which is out, calendar year, I mean, from Jan to June, our exports there are up by 25%. However, the number itself is minuscule. The highest number that we have achieved is still not 10,000 metric tons a month. And this includes UK also.
Okay. All right, Nitin and Mr. Gulati, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a perspective of the overall market and individual names as well, which tend to benefit from this update that has come by. That's all about the shrimp space. We'll sip into a short break. When we come back, we'll put focus on the crypto market with Manisha Gupta. Stay tuned.